Hey y'all, it's your girl Cass. Welcome to my page or channel, Cass the Light. Um, it's so funny because I just reposted something. It was a man, and he was talking about how when the little boy is healed, that's when the men will show up, right? And it's funny because just last night I was talking to my coworker just based on some of my experiences with the masculine energy, like people I've been with, how it's really funny how, and again, I'm going to touch base on both sides because I'm not here to bash. It's more to enlighten and giving perspective on these topics and energies, because sometimes we need to break it down in a certain kind of way just for us to get more understanding. And basically, I said something along the lines like, just because you have a penis and you reach a certain age doesn't qualify you as a man. Because I've been called a man before, like in a previous situationship, right? And I wasn't offended by it because, first of all, you can't attack me and my divine feminine, because at the end of the day, I was doing what I was supposed to do, you know what I'm saying, in that relationship. And honestly, I was like the man because I was holding everything down. So for me, it was just like, if you're calling me a man, like, what does that make you? You know what I mean? You got to look at yourself while what you're saying. It's not even for me to come back at you or for me to take a jab, but you tried to disrespect me and my energy, when it's just like, really, you should be looking at yourself if you can just outright say that. And it's also a thing where it's just like, if I'm operating in my masculine energy, what are you not doing in your masculine energy that's having me operate in that energy, right? Because if you were divine masculine, then I wouldn't have to operate in my masculinity. I'll be in my divine feminine. And it's okay for sometimes for the roles to be changed. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I know that's what works for some people. Like, for example, there is situations where the dad is the stay-at-home parent, and she's the one who's going out there and being the breadwinner. If that is conducive to your relationship, then it is kind of like a switch of the roles. You get what I'm saying? But you guys should be able to know how to nurture each other's roles. So if you are at home and she does come home, then you're gonna have to kind of nurture her when she's coming home and cater to her, because she just went out there in the world having to be this, that, or another, and wanted to come back home in peace. The same way, if it was the man who was going out into the world and holding everything down, that when he comes home, that should be his peace, and it should be a balance in it at the end of the day, right? So basically, yeah, I was saying how just because you have a certain part and you reach a certain age does not qualify you as a man, and for the women, just because you reach puberty doesn't qualify you as a woman. Most of us are still operating in our little girl and little boy energy and mentality, because to be honest, for me to recognize you as a man, first you got to show me, one, can you take care of yourself? Two, can you take care of a partner? Because if you cannot take care of yourself, then you definitely can't take care of a partner. And then thirdly, how can you take care of a family? It just doesn't add up, because that is what is required of a man. That is what a man can do. That is how a man can show up in the relationship for the balance, right? And as a woman, just because you reach puberty and you have your period or you start to grow certain parts of your body does not qualify you as a woman. Do you know how to nurture? Do you know how to cater to the emotional, physical, of not only yourself, but your divine counterpart, and then not only that, of children, right? So it's not these things that society thinks that qualifies you to then say like, oh yeah, I'm a woman, I'm a man. No, most of you are still very much selfish, still can't do much for yourself, thinking, you know, it's like a 2-year-old thinking the world revolves around them, not cognizant that there's other people's emotions and factors and feelings at play here outside of yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so I just want us to really think about that. Am I truly a woman? Do I know how to operate as a woman, where I know how to nurture? I know how to heal not only myself, but my counterpart, my children. Do I have those qualities where I am able to maintain a household? Because your energy, especially the woman, is going to affect the whole household. So do you know how to operate in that? How to maneuver that, even if you are having a moment that you're not projected onto your partner or your children in the home, are you still able to do what you have to do? And vice versa from the man, right? Is he able to show up and provide and protect not only you physically, but your emotions, what you're going through? There is so much more that is required of us as complex beings that I feel like we don't put into consideration. But we think we big dogs or whatever. We get to be like, yeah, I'm a grown woman or I'm a grown man. But are you really acting in that space? You know what I'm saying? Like, because usually we are still coming from an unhealed place, that, like I said, that little girl and that little boy, that we still traumatized from things that we react and move in a certain kind of way that's not even beneficial to us, that is self-sabotaging. We lack discipline, we lack perspective, perception, and all of these things. So are you really a divine feminine, a woman? Or are you a divine masculine and man? Because you cannot say these things without being able to meet up with the requirements or qualities or expectations of these titles that we want to call ourselves, right? Because you know what a little girl acts like, right? You get a temper tantrum, you know, you give them what they want and they're happy. Sometimes you're not gonna get what you want. Sometimes you're not gonna be in the mood. So do you know how to operate? Do you know how to do what you're supposed to do to make sure you're secure, that you're protected, that you have all of your needs met? You get what I'm saying? So just like a thought, because I'm just like, I said that last night and then I seen that video and I was just like, yo, let me just speak on that right quick, because I think like we really do get caught up in these labels and titles and not understand like there's more to it. It's just like calling yourself a god. Or a goddess. How can you call yourself a god or a goddess if you're always bending to other people? If you don't know how to be in alignment with yourself? If you're always in sin, meaning you're doing everything that's outside of what is for you, that you're not respecting yourself, you're not honoring yourself, you're not choosing you, you're not moving in your mission, your purpose. You get what I'm saying? So if you're not choosing and being intentional about these things, you really have to reconsider that it's not just about saying these things. I did like a video before. A lot of us just be saying things and not really putting the action behind these words that we're saying, because words without action means you're lying, you're pretending. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, that was just my word for today, and I wanted to share that because I'm always constantly looking at myself and to see where I can grow in as far as my divine feminine, because I know I've operated in my masculine energy before and I don't want to be there no more. I don't want to be the person that ends up with another man, or excuse me, a boy. Because if it was a man, I wouldn't have to be in my divine, like in my masculinity like that. If I'm with a man, then I am fully in my divine feminine. I get to be soft. I get to be nurturing. I get to show up like the goddess that I am. And so it's only when you're with a little boy and a little girl that you feel like you're overextending, you're disrespecting yourself, you're doing things not in alignment with you, you're not, moving in the right way. You get what I'm saying? So reevaluate these things and be like, who am I, first of all? Because we must always look at ourselves first before we can look at another, right? And if you're not showing up in that way, you can't really expect your partner to show up in that way either, because it has to be a balance. You can't expect a you out of other people, especially if you're not showing up in the way that you need to show up for yourself, that you would have the intuition and discernment to be able to tell the difference. Know the difference between a man and a boy. And guys, know the difference between a little girl and a woman, because how she operates is going to be completely different. The energy is going to be completely different. And that's where your discernment is going to have to come in. But first and always, you have to look at yourself. Okay, so I hope this message like touches someone or gets somebody to look at themselves or just the situations and be honest with themselves about what's really happening. Because if it's one thing, it's just like we all want security at the end of the day. You know, you don't want to be on shaky grounds because you want a strong foundation. And if we're lacking and we're unhealed, that's not the strong basis of a good foundation. Okay, but I thank you, Divine Reflections. And if you're watching this video on any platform, please like, share, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And I hope you guys have an amazing, magical, abundant rest of your day, because it is beautiful outside and it is springtime and the sun is shining. So make sure you get some sun, be in nature, tap in, tune in, self-reflect. And thank you. And if nobody told you today, Divine Reflections, let me be the first one to tell you that I love you. And I'll see you guys next time.